Hey guys, King here. Today I'll be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And today I bring to you my best ABB team for Master Premier Classic. I've gotten a lot of 4-1s and 1-5-0 that wasn't actually done on this day. So this double flyer strat, well, it's double flyer because there's subtypings of flyer, but this is Metagross, Gyarados, Safe Switch, and you have Dragonite that closes out. The idea with this team is that Gyarados will draw out the Togekiss, and then Metagross will slap the crap out of it, closing out with Dragonite and Metagross. You'll see that on display on this shoutcast. It's a very powerful team, lots of pressure, and double Dragon Brackrow. Now that Dragonite has superpower, now you have answers against Excadrill, in which without superpower, Excadrill will essentially just run over this back row with Rock Slides. But before we get started, it's going to be my therapist mental health tip of the day. And this is going to be about having a healthy relationship with yourself. So, a lot of people, well, just in my observation, at least in Pogo, they aren't very resilient. And that's because you don't really have a healthy relationship with yourself. So, because of that, in order for you to be very resilient and improve your mental health connections and even your work productivity, so infection later, you have to have a healthy relationship with yourself. So this article is by Psych Central. As usual, I love this just because Psych Central, all of them are reviewed by mental health professionals or specialists in their field. Not your own opinion or your own experiences. No, actual specialists like myself actually benefit to this one, or actually contribute, and these are actually, they're very good. So, by the guys of mental health professionals, don't listen to people that aren't mental health professionals. Like, if someone tells you their own experience, guess what? You don't do therapy, you don't do counseling, or you're not a professional of any sort, so you're just talking out of your butt. Not saying they're not valid or they're not valuable, but you probably don't know how to spin it to where you aren't talking complete bias and you don't have experience. Which is why there's two things I'm going at here. One, it's professional mental health advice, which is actually done by professionals, because everyone and their mother swears that they know really good about their mental health, but the thing is, there's less than 1% of the world can call themselves mental health professionals. That's how ethical and how the percentage of the overall population that actually knows what they're talking about as far as mental health goes. So yes, make sure you take advice from mental health professionals and seek your own therapist if you need, or own clinician if you need some. And two, take a look at this article, because 4 ways building healthy relationships with yourself is really good, like building a healthy inner monologue, strengthening opportunities, being alone, and taking care of your needs. So take a look at this article. It will be in the description. And without further ado, this is my best ABB team for Master Premier Classic. And without further ado, for the very last time, let's get started. Alright, here are the battles. So we got Metagross on a Dragonite. So this is a okay, so you actually can lose this one. With this matchup, you could force, the Dragonite player can force your way through in the 2 shields. So you could drop both shields and win against Metagross, given that your back row is just really strong against whatever they have left. It's a strategy I've done before, and it's still out here. As you see, our opponent is dedicating their shields. I'm not going to shield this one. Even if it's a superpower, it's not going to outright kill. Luckily, it's not, because we resist this Dragon Claw. This is likely going to be another Dragon Claw, and our opponent's just kind of straight Dragon Claws down. Unless they hit a superpower. And there's another superpower. Luckily, I'm able to get to a Meteor Mash, but this is what's usually going to happen. So you don't even need to be best buddied. As you see, that's a perfect Dragonite. So my opponent kind of ooped there, because if you do a little more damage than superpower, you'll go ahead and take out Metagross. Unfortunately, they were unable to do that. Now I have a shield advantage, and I have a Gyarados on Gyarados. They get the debuff, but that's perfectly fine because I still have shield advantage. But yes, if you're going to do that superpower strat, you have to make sure that you do a little bit of extra damage, because if you don't, what ends up happening is that they'll live and they can get to a second Meteor Mash, as you see right there. So kind of a huge mistake by opponent, but I don't, hey, if my opponent makes mistakes, I don't really care. So, well, I do care, but like, you know, like, that's your mistake, not mine. So we're going to go ahead and make this very wet. We're going to do this like Demon Slayer, you know what I mean? Like, because we got, what you call it? you know, I'm really sad that Demon Slayer, it's going to take a while before Demon Slayer's next season comes, and I end up sacking like a god. I'm the king of sacks. I have a very large sack between my legs. I have very large coconuts, and I'm going to punch you really, really hard, like One Punch Man, or if you're a fan of G Gundam, I love Gundam. But yes, G Gundam. Gundam Fight, if you know what that is. So G Gundam, you know, like Machine Gun Punch. If you know what that is, we could be best friends because I love Gundam. Gundam is one of my favorite anime franchises of all time. This time we have the mirror match. Metagross on Metagross. So what happens here is it's really up to you. Whoever hits the earthquake is the one that's going to win, or you can choose to catch an earthquake like I do here. So like I mentioned, you can choose to catch an earthquake, or you can go ahead and try to outright win the mirror match. In this case, it actually works out for us because my opponent is using a Waterfall Gyarados. This is why I like Dragon Breath better, because yes, Dragon Breath doesn't give you stab. However, it does let you win the mirror. And you beat the other dragon types with Gyarados. So Gyarados, you'll beat Garchomp, and you will also beat Dragonite and Haxorus. As you see here, the waterfalls are going through, but you need to make sure, even though we're facing a Waterfall Gyarados, that you time your Dragon Breaths correctly, okay? So make sure you time everything correctly, as in do 2 Dragon Breaths and then fire on the 3rd interval, which takes a little bit of practice, but because I play this game way too much, or before I played way too much, as you see, we're able to come out with a dub, and I'm confidently able to make it to where I can live with 1 HP in a dream. Now we have energy advantage here, and we still have a shield. I'm going to straight up fire the earthquake. Our opponent's going to probably shield, but even though that's okay, because now we still have shield advantage, so it doesn't really matter. Now I have Dragonite versus Excadrill. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to let the Rock Slide through, and then I'm going to fire Superpower. So I'm going to go ahead. 1 Superpower will yeet Excadrill from the face of the earth. Even if my opponent does get an energy advantage, the fact of the matter is that we still have a shield, so it doesn't really matter. Bullet Punch only charges 70 energy per shot, so I'm hopefully going to be able to get to another one, and I do. I get to a 2nd Superpower. This 2nd Superpower will put my opponent in Mirror Mash range. So now I don't have to fire an Earthquake. So because they're in Meteor Mash range, all I have to do is fire Meteor Mash, and I still have a shield, and that's game. In order for our opponent to win, they have to fire an Earthquake, hit us with a 6x420 Earthquake, and then that's the only way my opponent can win. Even if they bait here, there's not enough energy left for my opponent to get to another Earthquake, and that's GG's. So just good energy management here. A lot of key. This is one way you could play the mirror. Like I mentioned, I like doing this just because I come out with a guaranteed Earthquake. But you could also play the mirror match and hope you win the mirror match out. We got Mammoswine on to Metagross. With high horsepower, Mammoswine is a newer big type of, I call it Ice Bacon. So Mammoswine is Ice Bacon. Ice Bacon is incredibly powerful. And you know, it's going to put you under a lot of ice. Like, you know, like My Hero Academia, like Todoroki, except, you know, Mammoswine doesn't have a fire attack. So, kind of not really. Also, the newest season of My Hero Academia is freaking amazing. So, yes, I love the genre of school, the school anime genre has gone way too, like, it's like outdated because everyone does it. And as you see here, I accidentally go for 2, I bite on the 2 Avalanche Baits. It doesn't really matter though because we still have Gyarados. So I'm going to give up Switch here, and now we got Metagross on a Gyarados, which is a great matchup for us. Obviously, it'd be better if we had Waterfall, but that's perfectly fine. They're going to have to fire 2 Meteor Mashes here in order to take us out, and that should put this Metagross low enough to where we could take it out. So, but yes, the hero, even though the school anime genre has become kind of overkill because so many animes are doing it nowadays, My Hero Academia really executed it perfectly. Great story, great character support, great character background, and yeah, it's amazing. So, I'm just going to send in Dragonite and then Dragon Breath down. Metagross won't be able to get to another one. And I can Dragon Breath down Mammoswine because it blew all those energy on those 2 Avalanches. And we have a Machamp. So, this is kind of interesting because if the Machamp was in the lead, this would be a lot rougher. But as you see here, it's fine. Even if Machamp does have Rock Slide, it doesn't really matter at this point. It actually might not outright KO Dragonite because Rock Slide doesn't give you stab with Machamp. So, as you see, it doesn't outright actually kill Dragonite. I'm going to be able to get to my 2nd Dragon Claw, and that's GG's. Barney's going to be able to take it for us on this dub, and we're going to take out the 4-arm Goro. You know, I'm struggling to find another kind of, like, character with, like, 4 arms. So, if there's another character with 4 arms that you know of, please educate me. But here we have Goro. So, Goro versus Metagross. This is terrible for you. However, the way I like to play this is that I like giving up Metagross in the lead, because the thing about it is that you're going to still coming out with shield advantage, and you don't really want to swap out of this, because even though your back row does have a good advantage, you don't want to give up switch. I could switch out and draw out Togekiss, like you're going to see how the ABB team operates on the next battle, but I'm just going to go ahead and take both of their shields. So I'm going to shield here, try to take both of their shields, or just keep alignment. You win the one shield in this scenario, so if your opponent doesn't bite on it, too bad. And we get a Scizor, and my brain is like, that's a Scizor. Which actually is a bad idea. Back in the day, Scizor was actually pretty legit, and this is a purified Scizor. The problem is it's very squishy, and I have a Gyarados, so bullet punches are resisted by Gyarados. I also resist Iron Head, so the only thing my opponent can really do is either 1 return me or 2 Night Slash me. So as you see, I'm just overcharging just a little bit. Try to grab as much energy as you can as possible, especially for Master Premier Classic, because in the Master League, energy management is key, because everything already does so much dang damage. We take out the Scizor. My opponent is kind of lost, and I'm assuming that's because your back row is really weak to my Gyarados or my Dragonite, and I am right. We get a Swampert. So Swampert isn't bad either. Swampert is able to take out Metagrosses and Excadrill, so it's the back row breaker of destruction. However, I'm carrying Double Flyer. And Double Flyer carries the primary typings of Water and Dragon. So my opponent's like, oh my gosh, yes, he's eating the Hydro Cannons. But I have a Dragonite in the back. So this is game. But yes, when you face Machamps, you can stay in. I like doing this where I'll stay in and try to force my opponent down to shield, or try to win the one shield against my opponent. And then I just hope my back row is able to take it. But as you see, Dragonite and Gyarados, Dragonite back row and Gyarados is able to support itself very well. One of the big weaknesses of this team from the last season was the fact that Dragonite didn't have superpower, so because of that, you didn't have an answer against Excadrill unless you essentially nuked it or it was hurt enough. Now we got Snorlax on to my Metagross. That's a terrible matchup. We will lose. It's not a bad one, but it's not preferred, so I'll switch out. Because Snorlax, if it's an Earthquake Snorlax, I'm going to lose. I don't want to play the superpower game against Metagross, because if you have a player that's good against using Snorlax, they're going to win this out. So as you see, I switch into Gyarados, and this baits out the Togekiss. So you want to bait out the Togekiss. As you see, Aqua Tails do a ton of damage. So the reason why this matchup isn't that bad is because, yes, they're going to win. However, you're going to come out with shield advantage. So you're going to come out in the 2-to-1 shield. You're going to have an extra shield unless your opponent decides to give up Togekiss. Because of this, I'm going to have a shield for whatever Togekiss has to throw at me. I could send in Dragonite and try to Dragon Breath down, but that's a terrible idea, so we're going to send in Metagross. Metagross is going to come in, we're going to farm down this Togekiss, and we're going to have a little bit of extra energy. So as you see here, I eat the Flamethrower. I'm going to bank that Dragonite with 2 shields can take out both of my opponent's Pokemon. As you see, they got Heracross, and I am right. Dragonite with 2 shields is going to be able to take it out. I know they have a Snorlax. Even if they had a Metagross, the thing about it is that I can force my way through the 2 shield with my own Dragonite. So yes, you're gonna have a whole Snorlax, but I can force my way through the 2 shield with Dragonite, and I can still get to a Meteor Mash with Metagross. So either scenario that came out, I still had win conditions. Even if they came in with Snorlax, that would have been fine. I should have. Even if I didn't shield the Flamethrower, I just ate it anyways, just banking that Dragonite can win, and now I'm going to be able to get to his superpower. So, this should be a Body Slam, but I'm going to go ahead and shield anyways. I'm going to fire superpower, then this should be able to take out the Snorlax. And then I could just send in Metagross, and then Metagross can Meteor Mash for the W. So, pretty solid matchup. As you see, this is what you do when you lose a lead. I could have stayed in with Metagross again, but I chose to switch out to just give you an example. And as you see, we're going to be able to Bullet Punch down before Heracross is able to get to a close combat or a Rock Blast. I hope y'all enjoyed the battles. I hope y'all enjoyed this team. This is my best ABB team for Master Premier Classic Season 3. And that's game. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Solid team. Pretty generic, but solid in its core. Of course, taking advantage of the fact that Dragonite now has superpower. But with its sadness, this will be what I meant by this will be the last time. This is the last time that Master Premier Classic will be out. Niantic's justification is by now, everyone should have enough XLs to compete in Open Master League. You couldn't make it more obvious that your direction in the future is literally just trying to take as much money from your player base as possible. There will actually be a week where there will be no Great League. You will only have Open Master League and Master Premier Cup. Master Premier Cup, the only difference is legendaries aren't allowed. But the problem is, a lot of Pokemon that are really good for Master Premier Cup are all XL Pokemon, and some of them aren't easily accessible unless you grind for a lot. So, Pokemon Go PvP is slowly making its way to where it will die. It will eventually, well, not die as far as GBL goes, but I meant the competitive scene, because high barrier to entry games do not work in the guise of esports. The ones that are telling you it's never too late to join Pogo PvP just because it's Great League, it's already too late. It would be different if we had rental teams, or if there were a lot more ways or opportunities to get XL candy outside of having to spend a ridiculous amount of time or money out of your pockets. So yes, unfortunately, that's just what it is. So if you're planning to power everything up but you don't have anything built yet, I would advise against this unless you plan on using these Pokemon for raids. Because Metagross, Dragonite, Gyarados, you could still use these Pokemon for raids if you still happen to raid. I used to raid very heavily back in the day, so I get it. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for your support, etc. Please do me a huge favor. Please like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Good luck on your Go Battle exits, and I will see y'all on the next video.
That I made